courtroom is often thought of as a place of rules, order, and strict justice. But in Judge Caprio's court, it's also a place where surprises happen, emotions take over, and humanity shines through. Today, we'll look at 12 unexpected moments that left everyone in Caprio Court either laughing, crying, or completely shocked. Grab some popcorn because these stories will keep you on the edge of your seat. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. One morning, a young boy named Ethan appeared before Judge Caprio, accompanied by his mother. Ethan was there because his mother had received a parking ticket while dropping him off at school. The judge, noticing the boy's sharp suit and bright eyes, decided to address him directly. "Ethan," Judge Caprio began with a smile, "do you know why your mom is here today?" Ethan nodded confidently and replied, "Yes, Your Honor. She parked in front of the school, but it wasn't her fault." The courtroom chuckled at his boldness, and the judge leaned forward with interest. "Oh, and why do you think it wasn't her fault?" Ethan then launched into a detailed explanation, complete with mathematical terms. "Well, the sign said no parking from 8 to 10 a.m., but we were only there at 8:05. That's just 5 minutes, and 5 is only 8% of 60 minutes. That's not fair." The courtroom erupted in laughter, including the judge. Impressed by the boy's logic, Judge Caprio said, "Ethan, that's a very creative argument. I'll take it under consideration." Turning to the mother, Judge Caprio added, "Ma'am, you've got a future lawyer on your hands. But parking rules exist for a reason, and I can't dismiss this ticket entirely. I'll reduce the fine to a warning." Ethan beamed with pride as he left the courtroom, leaving everyone with smiles on their faces. This moment showed that even in serious settings, the innocence of a child can lighten the mood and remind us of simpler ways to see the world. Our next case featured a man named Carlos, a musician who'd been cited for playing loud music late at night. Carlos, dressed in jeans and a leather jacket, confidently took the stand with a guitar strapped to his back. Judge Caprio started, "Carlos, you're here for disturbing the peace. What's your side of the story?" Carlos grinned and said, "Your Honor, I wasn't disturbing anyone. I was sharing my gift of music with the world." The judge raised an eyebrow. "At midnight?" "Yes," Carlos exclaimed. "Art doesn't sleep, Your Honor." The courtroom chuckled, and Judge Caprio leaned forward. "Carlos, do you have the guitar with you?" Carlos nodded and began strumming a soft tune. To everyone's surprise, his voice was angelic. The courtroom fell silent as he sang a heartfelt song about love and understanding. When he finished, Judge Caprio clapped along with the audience. "Carlos, you've got talent, no doubt. But the middle of the night isn't the right time to hold a concert. I'll reduce your fine, but you need to respect your neighbor's rest." Carlos promised to play only during the day, leaving the courtroom in high spirits. Next, it was an unusual sight. A young boy named Alex stood confidently at the defendant's table alongside his father, Mr. Wilson. The case involved a parking violation in a no-parking zone. Judge Caprio, intrigued by the boy's assertive stance, decided to address him directly. "And who might you be?" Judge Caprio asked with a warm smile. Alex puffed up his chest and said, "I'm Alex, and I'm here to defend my dad." The courtroom chuckled, and Judge Caprio played along. "Defend your dad, huh? All right, Alex, let's hear your case. Your father is charged with parking in a no-parking zone. What do you have to say about that?" Alex adjusted his tie, a slightly crooked clip-on, and began his passionate argument. "Your Honor, my dad only parked there because we were late for my soccer game. I'm the goalie, and the team needs me. If I wasn't there, they could have lost." The sincerity in Alex's voice made the entire courtroom laugh and nod in approval. Judge Caprio smiled, clearly impressed. "So, Alex, what you're saying is that the team's success depended on your dad breaking the law. Alex hesitated, then confidently replied, "Yes, Your Honor." It was an emergency. The judge chuckled and turned to Mr. Wilson. "Is that true? Were you really just trying to get Alex to his game on time?" Mr. Wilson, looking sheepish, nodded. "Yes, Your Honor. I know I shouldn't have parked there, but I didn't want to disappoint him or his team." Judge Caprio looked at Alex and said, "Young man, I'll admit you've made a compelling case, but here's the thing. Rules are rules, and no parking zones are there for everyone's safety." Alex's face lit up, and Judge Caprio added, "But you have to promise me one thing, Alex." "What's that, Your Honor?" Alex asked eagerly. "Next time, remind your dad to leave 5 minutes earlier." The judge said with a wink. The courtroom erupted into applause as Alex proudly shook his father's hand, like a victorious lawyer. This case was a heartwarming reminder of the bond between a parent and child, and how even the smallest voices can make a big impact. Our next case brought a young man named James to the stand. James was cited for speeding 45 miles per hour in a 30-mile zone. But James, wearing a hoodie and sneakers, had a unique defense prepared. "Good morning, James," Judge Caprio greeted, glancing at the file. "You're here for speeding. Clocked at 45 in a 30. What's your story?" James grinned and said, "Your Honor, I'd like to present my mathematical defense." The room murmured with curiosity, and Judge Caprio leaned back in his chair, clearly amused. "Mathematical defense? All right, let's hear it." James unfolded a hand-drawn diagram. "You see, Your Honor, I was driving downhill. Gravity adds speed. It's physics. So technically I wasn't speeding. It was the Earth's natural forces at play." The courtroom erupted into laughter. Even Judge Caprio couldn't suppress a chuckle. "James, are you telling me that Sir Isaac Newton is responsible for your speeding ticket?" James nodded, grinning even wider. "Exactly. If anything, I should be thanking him for making science so interesting." The judge shook his head with a smile. "James, that's one of the most creative excuses I've ever heard. But unfortunately, Newton isn't here to pay the fine for you." As the laughter subsided, Judge Caprio's tone grew serious. "Here's the thing, James. Gravity or not, the speed limit exists for everyone's safety. What if someone had been crossing the street at the bottom of that hill? You wouldn't have been able to stop in time." James's confident smile faded into a thoughtful nod. "You're right, Judge. I didn't think about it like that." The judge softened. "I'm going to reduce the fine, James. But next time, remember this. If gravity gives you speed, use your brakes." James left the courtroom with a wave, shouting, "Thanks, Your Honor. I'll save this defense for science class." This moment showed that humor can lighten tough situations, but it's always important to remember the real-life consequences of our actions. One of the most memorable moments in Judge Caprio's court involved a young man named Anthony, who had been ticketed for parking in a fire lane. As Anthony approached the stand, he looked nervous but determined to explain himself. "Anthony, what do we have here?" Judge Caprio asked, glancing at the citation. "Parking in a fire lane. That's a serious offense." Anthony cleared his throat. "Yes, Your Honor, but I wasn't there for long. I'm a pizza delivery driver, and I was just dropping off an order." The courtroom murmured with interest as Judge Caprio leaned forward. "So, let me get this straight. You were in such a hurry to deliver pizza that you decided the fire lane was the best spot?" "Yes, Your Honor," Anthony replied earnestly. "It was a big order, and they had already called twice asking where I was. I didn't want them to get mad or give me a bad review." Judge Caprio raised an eyebrow, his tone mixing humor and seriousness. "And you thought the fire lane was a safe choice. What if a fire truck needed to get through? Your pizza wouldn't be much help in an emergency." Anthony nodded, looking ashamed. "I understand, Your Honor. I wasn't thinking clearly. I just didn't want to lose my job. The judge paused, studying Anthony carefully. Tell me this, what kind of pizza was it? The question caught Anthony off guard, and the courtroom broke into laughter. It was a large pepperoni with extra cheese, Your Honor. Judge Caprio smiled. Extra cheese, huh? Well, Anthony, I understand the pressures of your job, but parking in a fire lane is dangerous. I hope you realize that your safety and the safety of others should always come first. Yes, Your Honor, Anthony said sincerely. The judge softened his tone. All right, I'm going to dismiss the fine this time. But consider this a warning. Delivering pizza doesn't mean you can ignore the rules. Find a legal spot, even if it takes a little longer. Anthony's relief was visible as he thanked the judge. I promise I'll do better, Your Honor. This case reminded everyone that while work pressures can make us act rashly, it's crucial to prioritize safety over convenience. One of the sweetest and most unexpected moments in Judge Caprio's court involved a mother named Laura and her 3-year-old daughter, Emma. Laura had received a ticket for running a red light, but when she stood at the podium, Judge Caprio's attention immediately shifted to Emma, who was clutching a stuffed bunny and looking curiously around the courtroom. Who's this little one? The judge asked with a smile. This is my daughter, Emma, Laura replied. She insisted on coming with me today. Judge Caprio leaned forward, addressing the toddler. Hi, Emma. Do you know why your mom is here today? Emma nodded seriously and said, She didn't stop at the red light because we were late to the park. The courtroom erupted in laughter as Laura turned red. Emma? She whispered, trying to hide her embarrassment. The judge chuckled. Well, Emma, thank you for your honesty. It's important to always tell the truth, even if it gets Mom in a little trouble. Turning to Laura, he asked, Is that true? Were you rushing to the park? Laura nodded sheepishly. Yes, Your Honor. She had been asking to go all day, and I lost track of time. I know I should have been more careful. Judge Caprio smiled warmly. Emma, do you like the park? Yes, Emma exclaimed, clutching her bunny. Well, Emma, the judge continued, it's important that your mom drives safely so you can get to the park without any accidents. Do you think you can remind her to stop at red lights next time? Emma nodded enthusiastically. I promise. The judge laughed and turned back to Laura. I'm going to dismiss the fine, but I want you to remember this moment the next time you're in a rush. Your little one is counting on you to keep her safe. Laura expressed her gratitude, and as she walked out with Emma, the little girl waved at the judge, saying, Thank you. This heartwarming moment showed that even the youngest voices can remind us of what truly matters. Keeping our loved ones safe. One of the most baffling cases in Judge Caprio's court involved a woman named Carla, who had received multiple parking tickets in a single day. As Carla approached the podium, she looked both confused and frustrated. Carla, it says here that you parked in a no-parking zone 3 times in one afternoon. Judge Caprio began, clearly puzzled. What's going on? Carla sighed. Your Honor, I'm not from around here. I was visiting the city, and I couldn't figure out the parking signs. The judge raised an eyebrow. You mean to tell me you didn't understand any of the signs? Exactly, Carla replied earnestly. There were arrows pointing in every direction. Times listed I didn't understand. And then there was a meter that didn't even work. I just parked where I could. The courtroom chuckled, and Judge Caprio leaned back in his chair. Carla, I've heard many excuses, but this is a first. Didn't you think to ask someone for help? I did, Carla said, throwing her hands up. But the person I asked didn't know either. They just said, good luck. The laughter in the courtroom grew louder, and even the judge couldn't suppress a smile. Let me get this straight. You relied on advice from a stranger who wished you luck. Yes, Your Honor. Carla replied, looking sheepish. Judge Caprio shook his head, amused. Well, Carla, I'll admit our parking signs can be confusing. But getting 3 tickets in one afternoon? That's a record. Carla looked hopeful. Does that mean you'll dismiss them? The judge chuckled. Not so fast. I'll reduce the fines because I believe you were genuinely confused, but you still have to pay something. And next time, study the signs more carefully. Or better yet, use a parking app. Carla smiled in relief. Thank you, Your Honor. I'll definitely do that. This case showed that even the most confusing situations can have a fair outcome, as long as you own up to your mistakes. Another unforgettable moment in Judge Caprio's courtroom came from an unusual defendant, a dog named Max. Of course, Max didn't show up alone. He was accompanied by his owner, an older man named Mr. Thompson, who was charged with letting Max run loose in a public park without a leash. As the judge read the charge, he couldn't help but smile. Mr. Thompson, I see here that Max was the one causing trouble. Is that correct? Mr. Thompson chuckled. Yes, Your Honor. But Max didn't mean any harm. He's just a friendly dog who loves meeting people. Judge Caprio glanced at the report. It says Max chased a group of joggers and even stole someone's sandwich. That sounds more than friendly. The courtroom erupted into laughter, and Mr. Thompson looked embarrassed. He's got a big personality, Your Honor. I promise to keep him on a leash from now on. The judge leaned forward, clearly enjoying the case. Did Max eat the sandwich? Or did you return it to its rightful owner? Mr. Thompson grinned. I paid for a new one, Your Honor. Max doesn't give up food once he gets it. Judge Caprio laughed. Well, at least you made things right. But letting your dog run loose in a public space isn't just about sandwiches. It's about safety, both for Max and for others. Mr. Thompson nodded. I understand, Your Honor. It won't happen again. The judge decided to let Mr. Thompson off with a warning. Keep Max on a leash from now on, and maybe bring him to obedience school. He sounds like a character. Will do, Your Honor. Mr. Thompson replied with a smile. This light-hearted case reminded everyone in the courtroom that even our furry friends need to follow the rules sometimes. One particularly heartwarming case involved an elderly woman named Mrs. Collins, who had received a ticket for failing to stop at a red light. When she approached the podium, her gentle demeanor immediately softened the atmosphere. Judge Caprio greeted her warmly. Good morning, Mrs. Collins. How are you today? I'm fine, Your Honor, she replied. But I don't understand why I got this ticket. The judge raised an eyebrow. It says here that you drove through a red light. Do you remember that? Mrs. Collins frowned. I remember stopping, Your Honor. At least, I thought I did. The courtroom murmured as the judge played the traffic camera footage. The video showed Mrs. Collins's car slowing down but rolling right through the intersection without coming to a complete stop. Mrs. Collins gasped. Oh no, I didn't realize I didn't stop completely. My husband always tells me to press the brakes harder, but I didn't think it mattered that much. Judge Caprio smiled kindly. Mrs. Collins, the law requires a full stop, not just slowing down. But I can see this wasn't intentional. How long have you been driving? Over 50 years, Your Honor, she said proudly. That's impressive, the judge replied. But even experienced drivers need reminders sometimes. I'll dismiss the fine. But promise me you'll pay closer attention in the future. Mrs. Collins nodded gratefully. I promise, Your Honor. Thank you so much. This case showed that even the most seasoned drivers can make mistakes, and served as a gentle reminder to always follow the rules of the road. The final case that left everyone in Judge Caprio's courtroom stunned and thoroughly entertained was the story of Maria, a lively middle-aged woman with a unique approach to defending herself. Maria had received a ticket for parking in a restricted zone, but her defense was unlike anything anyone had ever seen. As Maria approached the podium, she seemed cheerful despite the charges. Judge Caprio greeted her with a smile. "Good morning, Maria. What brings you here today?" Maria replied confidently, "Good morning, Your Honor. I'm here to fight this ticket, and I thought the best way to explain myself would be through song." The courtroom erupted into surprised laughter, and even Judge Caprio looked amused. "Through song? Well, this is a first. Let's hear it." Without hesitation, Maria began to sing an original tune. "I parked my car, but I didn't go far. I was just picking up bread from the bazaar. The sign was unclear, Your Honor. I swear, I'm just a lady with a lot of flair." The courtroom couldn't contain their laughter as Maria finished with a dramatic flourish. Judge Caprio clapped lightly, clearly entertained. "That's quite the performance, Maria. But let's talk about the ticket. The sign says, 'No parking anytime.' How is that unclear?" Maria smiled sheepishly. "Well, I thought anytime meant anytime I wasn't blocking anyone." The judge chuckled. "That's certainly an imaginative interpretation. But parking signs aren't open to personal interpretation. They're there for everyone to follow." Maria nodded. "I understand, Your Honor. I just thought a little song might make things better." Judge Caprio grinned. "Well, you certainly brought some joy to this courtroom. I'll reduce the fine. But remember, next time, don't let your creativity park you in trouble." The courtroom erupted into applause as Maria beamed. "Thank you, Your Honor. Next time, I'll write a song about following the rules." This case was the perfect blend of humor and humanity, showing that even in serious situations, a little creativity can bring smiles to everyone's faces. Judge Caprio's courtroom is a place where justice meets humanity, and these unexpected moments prove that life's lessons often come with laughter. From heartfelt pleas to hilarious defenses, each case reminds us of the people and stories behind the legal system. If you enjoyed these unforgettable moments, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let us know in the comments which case made you laugh or inspired you the most.